social media friend, and I put that in quotes because we've not met except on my YouTube channel, and I don't have a clue what his name is. He uses, a pseudonym. Just asked me why I would get upset about his pointing out two different Hebrew terms translated in the King James Version as day. And to quote him, he says, "Why do you see a problem comparing two entirely different Hebrew terms that sound like the same word in English?" Well, first, I'd like to just say I'm not upset. I merely wish to point out our different approaches to the Word of God. And I believe we can use the Hebrew and Greek definitions of biblical words to kind of inform our study, but not to replace the English words, the translators of the King James Version selected, I believe, by inspiration of the Spirit. This is what I wrote in reply to my friend. I believe the King James English Bible supersedes the use of the Greek and Hebrew studies. I believe God superintended in the work of the King James translators so that what they accomplish circumvents mistakes that you and I might make in our own attempts to do our translation work. Therefore, I believe that God led them to use the word day in both instances because it was in fact a literal 24-hour day. The evening and the morning were the first day and so forth. I want to give a few points to see if I can quantify and explain my position. Number one, I trust that God led the translators of the King James Version in a fashion that has not been equaled before or since. Number two, I do not trust that any Christian today has the same level of leading from God as they had, nor do I believe we have the same level of scholarship or any scholarship that today equals theirs. Number three, I question whether most modern students of the Bible are either aware of or concerned about the differences in the families of the original language texts at our disposal. They're not the same. Number four, I believe that the use of original language studies is often, but not always, an excuse to avoid the plain meaning of the Bible. Number five, there is simply no good reason to adjust the plain meaning of the English King James Version of the Bible by using questionable original language texts. So concerning the specific question of whether God created the earth in 6 hours and days, I would conclude thusly. The question between God's resting on the seventh day and the Sabbath command is undeniable. So why would any professing Bible believer desire to call into question the plain meaning of the English King James translation just to appease the evolutionist? And by the way, you might have heard gunshots in the background. Right across that canyon is the local gun range.